This video contains spoilers on the Amazon Prime original series The Boys up through and including episode 6 of season 2. Viewers, please be warned, the spoilers are about to begin.
You can burn us, but she's a super. All you're gonna do is piss her off. So why don't we all just calm down?
What you can't stand is in my blood. I'm subhuman to you. Only good soup is a dead soup, right?
Your words, not mine.
Because that is Vought's true destiny. And you will be the man who will lead us.
Personally, I thought this was perhaps the best episode of the season so far. At worst, it's the second best behind episode 3. But I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and I thought there were 3 key subplots that drove the greater story in this one. Number 1, the backstory involving Lamplighter and Frenchie. Number 2, the apparent bond that developed between Butcher and Starlight regarding their shared love for that punk Huey. And number 3, Homelander's continued self-centered existence with his peculiar attachment to Stormfront. Holy shit, did Homelander actually buy flowers for Stormfront? Oh my goodness.
Sorry, mate. You just look like one of them Ponzi baton twirlers.
A majorette.
That's right, a fucking majorette.
So we finally got some real backstory on the mystery surrounding Lamplighter. I thought this was all extremely well done, as we were fed pieces of flashback material mixed together with current events. With every clue we had received previously, we were led to believe that Lamplighter is a degenerate scumbag. This, of course, isn't a stretch. The series is a world of scumbags. But Lamplighter in particular, we were led to believe he was elite-level scum of the lowest order. Clues about him being bad news have been scattered throughout. We knew he had retired and was replaced by Starlight in the 7. We knew that he murdered innocent children and that Grace Mallory's grandchildren were set ablaze by his wrath. We also knew there was a connection with Frenchie, and that Grace and Frenchie both loathed Lamplighter. So the expectation was that Lamplighter would prove to be ruthless scum in the same mold as Homelander, Stormfront, A-Train, The Deep. You get the picture. But that expectation apparently did not align with the reality of the story. Instead, Lamplighter ultimately came across as a sympathetic character in his debut appearance. Frenchie, who hated him, had a change of heart over the course of this episode, and even Grace herself was convinced to spare him.
You watched them burned alive, crying for their mama. If that's not an animal, then what is, huh? I didn't know!
I know I should have stood up to him. I know that. Elena, I watched a plane full of people die.
I didn't know that you were gonna be in that bed. You were supposed to be your boss.
So Lamplighter effectively claims to have been guilt-ridden since he mistakenly torched innocent children alive. Is he full of shit? Frenchie seemed to buy into it, and Frenchie is still experiencing his own guilt over the fact he lost track of Lamplighter when his buddy OD'd. But does the fact that it was a mistake excuse Lamplighter of his heinous act? We have a parallel here with Queen Maeve, when Elena watched in horror as Maeve and Homelander abandoned the doomed flight. Like Lamplighter, Maeve has been portrayed as a sympathetic character, a poor soul at the mercy of Homelander. But the way Elena eyes Maeve after seeing the horrific evidence suggests that she sees Maeve for the monster she is. In both cases, while it might seem reasonable to sympathize with Lamplighter and especially Maeve, the fact remains actions speak louder than good intentions. Now Lamplighter seems stuck in a situation where he is at the mercy of Vought, being used to destroy evidence of a scheme that's directly connected to Stormfront. But does any of this really excuse Lamplighter's past misdeeds? Or does the greater message here support Butcher's ongoing stance that all soups are inherently evil and by extension, irredeemable? That's a common theme being explored throughout this season.
Underneath all that swagger, you're just a bigot and a bully. I know another guy just like that. He's got a flag for a cape.
Starlight and Butcher were bickering all episode long, and they both took some strong stabs at each other that rang true. Deep down, Starlight knows Butcher is correct, that the entire existence of Supes is inherently evil, and that those with Supe powers tend to represent the manifestation of the lowest elements in society. The proof is in her entire experience since becoming a member of the Seven. She knows that Butcher's mistrust towards Supes is well-founded. By the same token, deep down, Butcher knows that Starlight is right about him. He's no better than Homelander. Him and Homelander are largely one and the same. The big difference being that Butcher doesn't have godlike powers to do as he pleases without consequence. Starlight perhaps aided in helping Butcher understand that he is willing to cross any lines necessary to get what he wants. Ergo, he is no better than Homelander. And him and Starlight first find common ground when they incapacitate that poor fellow who was just trying to protect his car from theft. By the end of the episode, Butcher and Starlight seem to have reached some understanding. It's their mutual love for Huey. This is another common theme in the ever-shifting alliances in this world. By the conclusion of the episode, they have newfound respect for one another. Butcher is perhaps realizing that Starlight is an ally in their ongoing battle against Vought, and Starlight is realizing that perhaps Butcher isn't quite as bad as Homelander. So just like the situations involving Lamplighter and Maeve, there is a lot of gray area with the varying degree of scumbag characters in this series. Meanwhile, even Homelander himself amazingly fits somewhere within this gray area, despite being on a non-stop temper tantrum all season long, following the brutal demise of Stillwell at his very own hands.
Son, we can do anything we want, and no one can stop us.
Would you like me to be someone else? I can be whoever you want.
I'm the face of the Seven, not you!
We found each other. And now neither of us has to be alone ever again.
The relationship between Homelander and Stormfront had a lot of elements condensed into this episode. Early on, they were all lovey-dovey when Stormfront massaged his crotch as Homelander crushed that thug's skull. They exuded an adolescent puppy love vibe, and this did not go unnoticed by Butcher and Kimiko. Homelander was ready to lay some romance on Stormfront with the thoughtful purchase of some flowers. But she lied to Homelander and went on her way. Homelander, always the jealous, needy, clingy type, he spied on her in stalker-like fashion, discovered her lie, and decided she didn't deserve flowers after all. Homelander is sick and tired of all the lying, as it's been one betrayal after another for poor Homelander. Vought, Vogelbaum, Stillwell, Queen Maeve, Starlight, and the list goes on. Now Stormfront has lied to him, and Homelander doesn't like this. Kind of ironic that the only person to date who hasn't been dishonest with Homelander is none other than Butcher. So Homelander is mighty perturbed with Stormfront, but then she comes clean. She was born in 1919. She was the recipient of the first successful Compound V treatment. She is a former Nazi. And in her own disturbing way, she does admire Homelander. Her brutal honesty upon being confronted by him seems to satisfy him well enough. For the time being, at least. I suspect the next big conflict between the two might likely stem from Homelander's sense of patriotism. Because Homelander does seemingly have some perverse sense of patriotism, despite his inclination towards short-term self-gratification.
It's saving America. Pull the trigger.
I suspect Homelander will be on board with whatever Stormfront wants from him in the short term, because Homelander is desperate for some type of family love. First, he looked to Stillwell for that, until he realized she was a liar who was manipulating him. Then he looked to his son, who threw a fastball like an infectious disease expert and hence was a big disappointment. Then he turned to the loving embrace of Doppelganger. Holy shit. And now he's gone all in on Stormfront, as evidenced by his stalker-like behavior and his pouty dismissal towards her because he needed to run some lines with Noir. So Homelander's need and desire for some type of family bond might keep him loyal to Stormfront in the short term, but Homelander's character was already revealed as having a lot of gray area in Season 1, particularly with his treatment of Butcher. We haven't seen much of that in Season 2, in large part, I believe, because Homelander still isn't coping well with the loss of Stillwell. But at some point, I have to believe that Stormfront is going to try to push Homelander in a direction he's reluctant to follow. I believe, at the end of the day, Homelander's perverse sense of patriotism will win the day against his need to find family love. And even if that's incorrect, sooner or later Homelander will realize that Stormfront is using him and manipulating him like Stillwell before her. However the inevitable falling out between Homelander and Stormfront unfolds, I suspect Queen Maeve's forthcoming blackmail will tie in, as well as her ill-advised alliance with the Deep, and then Mr. Edgar still looms large, as does the reemergence of Lamplighter and Kimiko's doomed plot for revenge, and lest we forget the rise of Love Sausage.
Would you like a fresca?
The only other quick point I wanted to make is that a potential alliance between A-Train and the Deep is irresistible. And what the hell is up with the Fresca? Is this spiked with some kind of mind persuasion drug being used by the Church of the Collective? I cannot shake the feeling that this organization will play a pivotal role at some point. But whatever happens, an alliance between the Deep and A-Train is a most welcome prospect. So what did you think of episode 6 of The Boys Season 2? Was it indeed the best episode of the season to date? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful night.
I think A-Train sabotaged me my entire career.
What?
Well, you do think you're better than me.
What you can't stand is in my blood. I'm subhuman to you. Only good soup is a dead soup, right?
Your words, not mine.
I fantasize about drowning you over and over again, but man, I don't want to feel that way anymore. I want to be clean.
Underneath all that swagger, you're just a bigot and a bully. I know another guy just like that. He's got a flag for a cape.
Kind of man who calls out injustice when he sees it. Hey, dude, that's not cool.
He slavers his bum with creamy dissert.
No.
I fucking swear to God, he's got rashes down there.
I don't want to know that.
You watch them burned alive, crying for their mama. If that's not an animal, then what is, huh? I didn't know!
I know I should have stood up to him. I know that. Elena, I watched a plane full of people die.
All of you, stay back! You stay the fuck back or I'll laser you, goddammit! I'll laser every fucking one of you!
I didn't know that you were gonna be in that bed. He was supposed to be your boss.
We found each other. And now neither of us has to be alone ever again.
Whoa.
Keep those hands down by your sides, Missy.
Because that is Vought's true destiny. And you will be the man who will lead us.